games. It's ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames.
How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have a new discussion video, and that is to go over the new reveals given from Set 5, Legends of the Force. And this is a set I'm very hyped about because my main thing for Star Wars that I like so much is the Force and the Jedi and lightsaber and things like that. And given that we're getting a whole set dedicated to that kind of thing, it is just amazing. So we're going to get into it and see what kind of things we've had revealed so far, and kind of get a bit of discussion going and kind of views on what about some of these cards. Also, don't forget we're on our way to 2,000 subs, so all a little bit can help out there, and by doing that you can help by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel, onto the videos. It helps out greatly, and also you can get a notification bell that gives you a notification so when videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then, or at a later time that suits you best. So now we've got all that hobbledegook out the way, let's go ahead and get into it and check out these new reveals. So, just in case you haven't paid attention to the reveals so far, because they have been going and seen some of the spoilers, let's get into a new mechanic that's come out. So the new mechanic they've got for the next set, as well as a new keyword, is the Force. So from the next set, we'll have a new mechanic using the Force, which is incorporating a Force token. And to incorporate that, they've made the common bases. So normally the bases are usually for commons, 30 health bases with no effect. But with the next set, they have 28 health bases, so we've got 2 less health than normal bases, but they incorporate a new mechanic, being getting the Force token. Because what they do is allow you to gain the Force token when a friendly Force unit attacks, the Force is then with you, and you create your Force token. And you can only have 1 Force token at a time, so you can't spam it and have multiple tokens, you can have 1 at a time. And this helps use the effect on some cards or some leaders. Because the nice thing about it is not all leaders incorporated this, but some, well, a majority do. And it's a new kind of mechanic. So all the common bases are going to be shown here, like how we got Shadow Atlantis City and Jedi Temple as 2 examples, ones for go on the starter deck. These are bases that you can use, the common bases, to help get the Force. And also there are going to be rare bases as well to get it. And here it's also the Force token just below them. It's just a token, like we got token in this game, like token units, that you just have if you play a deck using the Force. So that way you can know that you've got the Force by placing it under your base, having the Force token. So that's a new mechanic. Now, it's a pretty interesting one, and it's cool. We've got less health on the base, but then you can't just have 30 health bases that do it the same thing. So why play the older bases that are just 30 health, common 30 health ones, when you can just play these that are the same health and then have this kind of Force mechanic when you've got to have some downside to the health if you're having this thing on it. So it means we've got more effect bases, but they're still common ones, so these will categorize with those because they're just the basic ones that you can get that are on all common bases, I think, for the next set. And that is the mechanic. So there's a new keyword. We'll get to that when we come across leaders of it, because they have the kind of description text on it. Now let's have a look and see some of the leaders we've had revealed so far, because they're all going to be Force ones, and that is pretty exciting for me. So the first leader we've got here is Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he is he is technically the first Force or Jedi leader we've had in green in command, and I'm pretty excited about that because we didn't have one when we had Force units back in set 3. Force leaders, sorry. Or Jedi leaders as well. We didn't have any in green, and so we got Captain Rex and Padme for the good side, and then for the bad side we had Dooku, which technically is Sith for that side, and also I forget the other one. Wat Tambor, I remember, because they're characters that have been in series like the Clone Wars and stuff, but they're not ones you really pay too much attention to. But for this set, we've got Obi-Wan as one of our green heroic green hero leaders, which is cool. He is quite quick to deploy as well, 5 resources, which is pretty nice. Deploys quite quickly, and you can even get him even quicker, because we have, remember, things like ramping in green, like resupply and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Be able to go turn 1 a unit, turn 2 resupply, and turn 3 deploy Obi-Wan. And the nice thing I love about this is that he is a leader that you don't need to add green to use things like resupply to get him out quicker, to use General's Blade. He's one that can come down and use General's Blade pretty quickly at 5 resources, which is pretty nice. And also, given his stats are pretty excellent as well. 3/6 is not too bad. It's a good amount of power and not too bad on the health. It is out the way of takedown, so it can't just be taken down using takedown straight away, which is cool. And also, he's a Jedi leader, so you can use things like General's Blade on him without having to incorporate green. And General's Blade is a very nice one, because it put him up from a 3/6 to a 6/9. On a leader, that's pretty good, and as early as turn 4 if you do resupply into him, which is cool. And then he can start swinging, play out cheaper things. So you turn 5 when you're then at 6 resources. If you do go ahead and then ramp, you can then play things like Luke and 7 drops and stuff like that, which is pretty cool, or even 8 drops, given that you're on 6 resources. Now, for his effect, it's all about giving experience, because that's just basically what his effect is. When he's on the leader area, he is incorporating the new force mechanic. So it's an action where you tap him, use the force, so lose your force token, and you give an experience token to any unit that has no experience token on it. So you can't just spam multiple experience tokens on it, like things with Raid, you can put more experience tokens on, like Condo and things like that. You can only give it to one that's not got experience token on, but then giving one and play more units and giving them one each is pretty cool. So it's nice to just move them up by 1/1, and it's for free as well. It doesn't require any resources, which is really, really nice there. Now, when he does deploy, his on attack is the same thing, but now you don't need to use a force. So once you deploy, you don't have to use the force anymore. You have to use your force token. You just need to do his attack, which is then swing, give an experience token to another unit with an experience token on it. Now, the sucky thing about it is he can't give it to himself. They can give it to any other unit, give just any experience for free on attacking, which is pretty cool. Especially when you can buff him up with things like some lightsaber and stuff, which is a lot more in the set as well, which is going to be exciting to see whichever ones we get. But you've got things like General's Blade as well, which is pretty cool. And just to give a boost to something else as well anytime he swings, or also with a General's Blade, I do love that card, if you can't tell. And then playing something a little bit cheaper is really cool. So I think he's a really nice unit, like pretty solid stats for his cost, pretty good deploy, pretty decent stats. Jedi and Force in green, which means you've got ramp and you've got things like really cool lightsabers. But only like mainly General's Blade is the green one you get, and can make use of him because he's a Jedi. And then there's a pretty nice ability to just boost up new units for free by just either using the Force or attacking, which is cool. So that's Obi-Wan. Now let's have a look and see some of the other leaders we've got as well. So next we've got Darth Maul, and he is the one from the starter deck. So there's 2 starter decks in this set, just like with their last one. They're not I can't remember. They're not starter decks like they were before, where you get 2 decks in one. They're spotlight decks. You get one or the other, and one of them is Darth Maul. And I am hyped. I love this because this is proper Darth Maul. Just not like we got. I know we got Maul in the set 3. Yeah, set 3 we got Maul, but that was Maul from like the Clone Wars when he's not like he's not Darth Maul like from his appearance in Episode 1. That was him from the Clone Wars when he takes over Mandalore. Spoilers if you haven't seen that series. Apologies as well. But this is Darth Maul, so like the first appearance of him in the films in Episode 1, when he first shows off that cool sequence when he shows off the dual-bladed lightsaber and fights both Qui-Gon and an early young apprentice Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he's got the Darth Maul name. He's actually named Darth Maul rather than just Maul, and he's Sith revealed as his little subtitle. He is Force and Sith, which is pretty good. More Force of use abilities with that, because Force is a good trait to have. Deploys a little bit late. Well, not too late, but late enough at 6 resources. But then comes down as a 5/6, which is pretty good stats, pretty solid. And he's another one of those units that also uses the Force. So when he's in the lead area, he has to use the Force for his ability. So it's for free. You don't have to use any resources. You just tap, use the Force, which you can get, and what he allows you to do is deal 1 damage to a unit, and then deal 1 damage to a different unit. So like how he's got dual blade lightsaber, and he can take out 2 people, or fight 2 people at the same time. He can do damage to 2 different things at the same time. He can deal 1 damage to one and deal damage to another one, which is a little bit of a shame because it means you can't deal just 2 damage to a unit. You have to deal 1 to another, but it's pretty nice there. Just spread out damage and do it for free. And then when he is deployed, his effect is essentially the same. Just don't have to use the Force, like how Obi-Wan. You now attack, deal 1 damage to a unit, and deal 1 damage to another different unit, which is pretty cool. So essentially, like incorporates this kind of flavor into the character, fight 2 people at the same time, which is cool. So there's nothing really to see about this. It's just another Force leader. In aggression and villainy as well. So villainy because it's Darth Maul. He is one of the Sith, and also aggression as well. And this gives us more Force leaders and more ways to use some of those like dark side Force cards as well, which is pretty nice. So a pretty nice leader, not the most amazing, but I am hyped to play him and test him out because I'm looking forward to this next set. And he's probably my favorite villainous character in the whole of Star Wars. So that is Darth Maul. Let's check out the next one. So we get another of the villainy aggression leaders shown as well. So this is from the main set. We get Third Sister as one of the other ones. So if you don't recognize her, then it's understandable because I think she probably is in the comics side, because there are comics and stuff about most of the characters and stuff you can see, and the ever kind of lore you can find. But if you haven't seen the Obi-Wan series, that's why you might have missed her too, because she's in the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus, which is quite cool. A really good series. Well, I recommend watching it. And she's pretty interesting. So she is aggression and villainy. So you got those benefits of the dark side and also the aggression stuff. So she's pretty cool. She's also on every unit that has Force on her as well. She also has Imperial, so get those benefits from the Imperial stuff. Like there's some cards that reference needing Imperial, like you've got from the first set, which are pretty nice, handy cards to have. And also Inquisitor as well. So I think there's more things in here that reference the Imperial Inquisitor trait as well. So you've got that going for it as well. Now she does deploy like pretty early, which is not the earliest, but pretty early at 5 resources, so it's not too bad. And she comes down with the same stats as IG-88 from set 1, which is 5 power and 4 health. So the only thing it sucks about her is she's got a lot of power, which is really good, a lot of power built into her. But then her health is something to be desired, because if you're a leader that has 5 or less health, you're susceptible to the card Takedown, which is a 4-cost event that can just defeat anything that's 5 or more, well, 5 or less health. And it's one of those unique events that can just, well, one of those few events that can take out leaders, because it can take out anything, doesn't have to worry about the kind of thing it is non-leader, things like that. And it's this is something that can be taken out straight away with an event, just like how Sabine and stuff like that can be taken out with Takedown. So the health is a little bit lackluster, but you can always kind of try to hold off your deploying to your opponents, use a fair few of the resources so they haven't got enough open to use some of the, like, well, quite a few cards now that can take out units with very low health like this, like Open Fires and everyone. So having that low health is quite bad, but if you can hold off until your opponent uses enough resources, you can deploy her and then give her an upgrade like a Fallen Lightsaber or something like that, just to boost up her health so she's out of the way of some of those instant kill events or abilities, and then be able to survive around as well, and then start pushing some damage on. Because her effects are really cool. Like she incorporates one of the new traits, well, no, not the new trait, sorry, the new keyword in the set, which is hidden. And if you can't see on the screen, hidden is a new keyword you can have on units, and its effect is this unit can't be attacked if they were deployed or played this phase. So it basically means that you can play out a card, and if that's hidden, your opponent can't attack into that turn. So it means you can play a unit out, and if that's hidden, it can stay there and not have to worry about being attacked before it gets to do anything, which is nice. So that's really cool. So being able to play out something and have it not be attacked, even with ambush and things like that, is really cool. But it can be taken out by events that can do damage or instantly take things out. So it's just from attacks it can be prevented from. And she incorporates this very well by having when she deploys. So when she deploys, she has hidden, so she can't be, when she deploys, she can't be attacked the same turn she deployed, which is really cool. So you have to only worry about those events that can remove her. She also has her abilities are on both sides are all about playing units and giving them hidden so they can come out and be protected from attacks for that turn. Because her action on the leader side is to tap her and play a unit from your hand that gains hidden for this phase. So you don't have to pay any additional cost. You don't have to restrict yourself to something. You just basically tap her, play a card out with as long as you pay the resources for it, and then it gains hidden. So you basically do the same thing you would normally play in that card, just you've played it so it now with the keyword hidden, so it can be attacked that phase to kind of have it be surviving from ambush or units that your opponent might have that could attack into it. So really cool there. And when she is deployed, she gains the same thing on attack, where on attack the next unit you play this phase gains hidden. So you kind of have to do it when she's deployed. You have to do it in multiple events, where when she's in a leader area, it's just in one action. You do her action to play it with hidden and playing the card in one. Whereas when she's deployed, you have to attack, and then when you next play a card, it gains hidden. So it kind of takes away the action economy by having 2 actions in one, and as in 2. But then she's out on the board. She has hidden herself, so she can't be attacked into, and then she can start hitting for damage as well, which is pretty nice. I think she's a really good unit. We have to see what more things we get in the set, but then I think she's a pretty nice one where we can buff her up with, like, things like Fallen Lightsaber that we've got from set 1. Could be a nice thing to buff her up with, and I reckon she is pretty nice. We have to see what more things we have in the set and what more leaders, but I reckon she is a pretty nice one. Next we have Qui-Gon Jinn, and this is the other of the starter decks. So like we had Maul for the Villainy side, we now have Qui-Gon for the Heroic side, and I absolutely love this set because both the leaders from the starter decks are absolutely my favorite leaders in the entire franchise of Star Wars, because Maul is my favorite villain, and Qui-Gon is my favorite of the Jedi and the good guys, which is cool. And also played by Liam Neeson, who's a sick actor as well. And he's got a pretty cool effect. Now, he is in Cunning, so he's never one of those cunning leaders which keep getting hit, but then it's on the heroic side, so not too bad. Like, they're mostly overshadowed by well, Quinlan is a good one, and also, but mostly of them are overshadowed by like Han Solo, so those two kind of take over. But Qui-Gon is a pretty nice one. He does deploy a little bit later at 6 resources, same time as Darth Maul, which is cool because they kind of like wait to fight each other and then come out and then fight each other in the film. And he incorporates the Force Jedi and Republic traits as well, which are pretty nice ones to have, just like I set free. Now, he's got a really cool effect, and he's another leader, once again, that needs to use the Force mechanic that we've got in this set to be able to use the effect. But then, like with the rest of them, when he deploys, he no longer has to use the Force. He can just do what he does without needing to use the Force with it. But essentially, when it comes down, he is a 4/7, so he's got better stats than Maul, a little bit less power, but a bit more health, so some power went out into health, so he can survive a little bit easier. And 4/7 is pretty good stats, because it's a pretty nice amount of health, and a good amount of attack as well. And remember, they can always be buffed with things too. Now, he deploys 6 resources, but you don't really care too much about that, because his effect as you want is the main thing about it. Now, the really cool thing is you use his action when he's in the lead area, which is just to tap him and use the Force. You do have to use the Force to tap him, but you don't have to pay any resources like some other effects have like previously done, like where you overtune some of them. And essentially, you return a friendly non-leader unit back to your hand. So you return any of your non-leader friendly units back to your opponent's hand, and then you play a non-villainy unit that costs less than the return unit from your hand for free. So if you bounce back a 5 cost, you can then go ahead and play out a 4 or less card from your hand. So you get to reuse some of those cards to have when played abilities, and you get to bring in something new as well. So you get if you have something with non-played ability, you can then play it, trigger that when played ability, bounce it back to hand, play out something different. So you can still keep something on the board. You just bounce that card back to hand, like maybe a little bit less, but you get to bring out that card back to hand. So you can then go ahead and play it out. So there's like really cool cards like Bodhi Rook, there's Ahsoka, and every units. Well, that's good examples in his traits. But there's like cards like that have one played abilities were very good, like Ahsoka's very good, to be able to come down, make him discard a card, and then if they discard a unit, then you get to tap one of their units. And it's also Force units. You got like some cool Force cards you can bring up with one played effects. You can then attack, get the Force, and then do it again, and be able to recycle that is really nice. And when he does deploy, he's got the same effect, just now he needs to attack and complete an attack, so he needs to attack and survive to then do the same thing, but not use the Force for it. Now, one of the really cool things that I reckon it goes well with this is the trait we got in set 3 being Exploit. Now, Exploit is a kind of keyword we've got where you can play out a card cheaper if it's got Exploit on it by defeating some of your own units to reduce the cost. Now, the cost is reduced by 2 for every unit you do defeat, and there are some pretty nice cheap ones you can have, like Geonosis Patrol Fighter is probably the best example of this, because it's a 5 cost 3/2 spaceship that is it's a 5 cost spaceship that has Exploit 2, so you can defeat up to 2 other units you control to reduce its cost by 2, so you can reduce them to either be a 5 cost if you just play them for stats, a 3 cost if you defeat one of your units to play them out, or a 1 cost if you defeat 2 units to play them out. Now, the nice thing about this is a unit that can play out earlier than the number of resources it hard costs, so you can play it out before you need to get the 5 resources to hard cast it. So you can play it by defeating 1 unit to bring it out, and it's got a really nice effect to deter your opponent's plays by bouncing back one of their units that costs 3 or less, and then be a 5 cost on board that you can then bounce back to play at 4 cost. And because it can be exploited, you can play it out on your turn 2 by defeating whatever unit you played turn 1 to bring it in for free, bounce back on your opponent's board, and if you play a Force unit that you could attack with on the first turn, then you can get your Force token using the Force thing for the base, and then once you get out Geonosis Patrol Fighter by killing off the unit you played turn 1, bounce back one of the units on board, and then use Qui-Gon to bounce back the Geonosis Patrol Fighter back to hand to play at a 4 cost like Ahsoka, and then you have Ahsoka out the turn like a turn earlier than normally she can be, and also go ahead and then have Geonosis Patrol Fighter back in hand, and you discard a card from the hand as well, and you've got Force units you can attack and then bounce back Ahsoka, build then bounce back Ahsoka, and play out something else, which is pretty nice there. So some really cool mechanics of this, and even there's things like there's card Sneak Attack in set 1. That is a card where you can play out a unit. It costs what basically is going to cost 1 less than normally costs. You can play out a 4 cost on turn 3 by using it, because it costs, you play a card, it costs 3 less. And you pay 2 for it, so you pay extra 1, then cover the extra 1 for 4 cost. And then at the end of the turn, it will be defeated. But you can play out, so if you do that, like a sneak attack on turn 2 to play out Ahsoka, now it come in active, so it can attack. You can then swing and get the Force token, and it gets effect on played. And then you can avoid the whole fact that Ahsoka will be defeated at the end of the turn by going ahead and using Qui-Gon's effect to bounce it back to hand, play out a 3 cost from your hand. So now you've played out a 4 cost, attacked, use their effect, bounce it back to hand, play out a unit back on the board, and then you still have Ahsoka to play the next turn. Things like that. Some really cool kind of things will be. I've been looking at all the cards to kind of go over this because I love Qui-Gon. I want to play it, and this effect just happens to be really, really cool and really, really nice. And you get some really nice things. I've probably talked more about this leader because I'm just so hyped for it, but it is a pretty fun leader that I'm looking forward to playing. Right, and then we come to the last leader for this set. So here we have Darth Revan. Now, I don't really know anything about this because I've not read like the books and stuff about. I've only watched the movies and series. I haven't really looked into like comics and novels about Star Wars. So apologies if I have no idea where some of these cards are or some of these characters are. But Darth Revan, and from the stream we got, from the little stream when we got this revealed, you will notice that it has a gold bar at the bottom of the leader and also around his name as well. And this is something to symbolize that it is from the non-canon universe and from the Legends. I think it's from the Legends. I can't remember. It's like series or era of stuff, or like I don't know. It's from Legends, but it's non-canon. It's to show that it's a non-canon character. Well, I think he is canon in the series, but like at the point of when he is from this card, from the art, from where he's brought from, he is non-canon, but then is still like just to show that we can have non-canon cards in there. So that's really cool. And he's the first leader that only has 1 aspect. That's why he's just a villainy leader. Doesn't have aggression, he doesn't have command, he doesn't have any aspect. He's the first leader we've had that's only got 1 aspect. So like how we had with Palpatine being the first leader that doesn't deploy, doesn't have a deploy but can flip back and forth, and also can then flip from light and dark. This is the first leader that just have 1 aspect. So you do lose out on an aspect from him, but he does have really cool stats and effects. Now he is just like Obi-Wan, he's a 5 deploy leader that has 3/6 to his stats, which is pretty cool, pretty decent stats. Force and Sith as well, so you can get benefit if we get more Sith stuff and more Force. Well, of course we're going to get more Force things, but more Sith stuff. He also has Restore 1 when he's deployed, so when he's swinging, he's healing you 1. And he doesn't really incorporate the Force. It's all about your units attacking and defeating your opponent's units, and he can get more benefits from when he's deployed of using that effect over and over again than he can from being in the lead area. And what I mean by that is when he's in the lead area, you've got the same thing on both sides, which when a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, so you need to have 1 of your units attack and defeat 1 of your opponent's units, and you can trigger the effect. And when he's in the leader area, you need to exhaust him. And if you do exhaust him, you can give experience to a friendly unit. Then you can only use it once when in the leader area, because unless you can find a way to re-stand your leader or ready your leader, so you can do it again. You can only do it once, but when he's deployed, you just give an experience token to all your friendly units. You can do it multiple times when he's deployed, but only once when in the leader area. But it's still pretty nice to have a kind of way to reward you. So when you're taking out your opponent's leader, trading like in most games, when your unit does do that and take out your opponent's unit, you then get a benefit giving your leader unit experience to kind of boost it up. And if you can heal it, that's pretty cool. But otherwise, you just make it a bit stronger after taking something down. So after taking something down, they're just gaining power, which is really cool. Now it's quite interesting because he does restrict you to having less aspects, less options. But if you play a colored base of it, so like one of the other ones, you then still technically get access. You just lose access to dual aspects, but you get access to villainy and whatever aspect you're into. But it'd be interesting to see whatever Force cards I got, because there are some Force cards for villainy at the moment, but there's very limited amounts compared to the heroic side. So it'd be nice to see what kind of other cards we get in. But this one does show some promise, and it's pretty nice to get a first only 1 aspect leader. So that's all the leaders. So that's all the leaders we've had revealed so far. Now let's check out some of the cards in the set that are not the leaders. So here we have some of the Vigilance Cards. So we got the Vigilance Cards in either Villainy or Heroism. And we got one of them being Darth Sidious, being one of our starter deck ones. This is one you can get in the starter deck with the Maul starter, I believe. And yeah, he's some pretty nice cards. Like Darth Sidious is pretty cool. He's an 8 cost, 6/8, so pretty bulky. So just almost the same as the other Darth Sidious we've had. or Palpatine. I think this is Darth Sidious, not Emperor Palpatine, because like he's got these different names throughout it. But he's an 8 cost. Rather than be a 6/6, he's a 6/8. So he's got a bit more health. Force, Separatist, and Sith, because he's from the Sidious. The Sidious side is more of a Separatist focus because he's helping that side, whereas then as Palpatine is helping the Republic. And he's got Restore 2 as well, so you can heal 2 damage when he attacks as well, which is very nice. And he's one of those. He's a non-leader that uses the Force mechanic as well, because when he's played, you can use the Force, so use it your Force token, and if you do, you defeat each non-Sith unit with 3 or less remaining HP. So you've got a nice way to kind of kill off all those weakened units that have 3 or less HP, and as long as they're non-Sith, and that's all, only to your enemy. Well, it's even yours as well. So if it's not each enemy, it's each non-Sith unit, so it will hit your own units as well. So pretty nice one, pretty interesting. Being able to see, like, it depends on how consistent and easy we can to generate the Force to see how relevant that's going to be, or how quick, like, often you can use it. And then we've got the Drain Essence, which is a nice 2-cost event, and it's another one of those Force events as well. And it's another way to get a Force token outside of your base, because it allows you to deals 2 damage to a unit, so you damage the unit by 2 damage, and then the Force is with you, so you create your Force token. So it deals 2 damage to something and creates your Force token, which is pretty nice. Especially on the first turn of the game, that could be a way to can potentially take out some units, which is nice because it does differentiate by vehicle and non-vehicle and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And we got Plo Koon, and he's got solid stats for his cost. He is a 6-cost unit with 6/8, the same stats as Sidious there, but 2 costs less, so you can play 2 turns earlier. And he doesn't have many benefits, special skills. He does have the cool traits of Force, Jedi, and Republic. But his skill is only that while the Force is with you, so while you have the Force token, he gains grit, so he can even get more powerful. He can gain a maximum of 7 more power off that if he takes 7 damage and have 1 health left. And then gain 7 power to be a 13 power unit, which is pretty strong. Now, it does rely on the Force token, but then if you don't need to use Force token for anything else, then you can always keep it with you, so you can always got this live. That's pretty nice. Like, they did say that we're going to have more stronger stats in this, or the stats are going to be a little bit better in this set going forward than we have in previous sets, because they were worried about the balancing, and they've kind of made more units, like better stats, which is going to be really nice. And then the other ones we got in Vigilance, we have these ones. We've got Owen Lars, so Luke Skywalker's uncle. We got Watto, the guy who owns Anakin from Episode 1. And we got Luthen Rael, or Rael. I have no idea where this is from, or what. I don't know where he's from, but he's a rebel. So if anyone wants to enlighten me where he's from, that'd be cool. You can do it in the comments. That'd be pretty nice. But these are the ever free Vigilance cards we got. So Owen Lars is a devoted uncle. He is a 1-cost 0/3, so almost similar to Moisture Farmer. So that's cool. Fringe unit. I don't know if there's much benefit to Fringe, or even why to put Fringe, unless it's just the identify ones that aren't the most prevalent, or that don't tie into any like major traits or categories. But he does have Restore 2, so he's healing 2 when he swings. Pretty nice. Is another one that you can put in Ray to get some benefits there. Like, so you got extra Moisture Farmers, which is cool. And you might be thinking, like, I say Moisture Farmers, like, he's got the same thing, which Moisture Farmer has, I think, the same amount of Restore. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure off by heart. I think it's got the same. I know it's got Restore, maybe not the same amount of Restore, but it's got 1 extra health, so it could be stronger when boost by Ray. But this kind of has a little bit difference in that it's got when defeated, which allows you to look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a Force unit, which is going to be more of in the set, which is nice. And then you reveal it and draw it and put the other cards at the bottom of your deck in random order. So it's a nice, like a unit you can have out that's then healing damage by attacking, but if it's taken out by like exploiting it or any other way of having it defeated, then you get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck to find a Force unit, and it's just a unit, not a Force card, it's a Force unit, so it can't grab things like Force Throw, which might be banned before it, and then reveal it and draw it and put it in your hand. So that's cool. Then you got Watto, which is another one, and pretty nice one, isn't showing that there's better stats. It's a 3 cost, has 1 power and 6 health. So 6 health on a 3 drop is pretty nice, but only 1 power is not too bad, but then it's going to survive around long enough to actually get some attacks on, and it's good because it's an on attack, gives your opponent a choice. So it's on attack, your opponent gets to choose 1 or 2 effects. So they either give you an experience token to a friendly unit, so they give you the ability to put a friendly experience token on a unit. I think you get to choose the friendly unit on, but they say you can have an experience token to a friendly unit, so you can power himself up to make him a 2/7, which can make him harder and harder to take down. or they allow you to draw cards. Either way, they're either giving you some benefit and either giving you an experience token on one of your units to make it stronger, or letting you draw cards. Either way, they're giving you something that's beneficial for you and not great for them, but they get to choose, so they can either go, you get an extra card, which doesn't get you anything on board, but it gives you more options, or give an experience token and just make some of your things harder to take down. So that's pretty nice. And we got Luthen, and this is an interesting one. It's a 4-cost 4/5, so same stats as like things like Kanan. That's pretty nice. And then it's got on attack, where you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck for an item upgrade, reveal it and draw it, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in random order. So there's another one that can kind of search, and it says for item upgrade, which I think we've got a fair few from the first sets. But the nice thing about it is that we're getting, I think, 15 more lightsabers in this set, and each lightsaber are item cards, so weapons and items. So you can search for those like lightsabers to help you get those ones. But then upgrades, there's already upgrade hate put in that people put in to hate on the space unit, the pilots and stuff. So having more upgrades on here does mean that you're getting these upgrades, but then they can be taken out by upgrade hate. So that's going to be quite interesting how that goes. But it's pretty cool, very good stats, and a nice way if you've got a few lightsabers in your deck, or want to go like maybe focus on that niche of using Grievous with all the lightsabers. It gives it a huge boost in its effects actually live. It's pretty cool, so you can use this way to get it. But still, some really cool cards and some good stats on them. So that's the Vigilance ones. Let's look at some command ones. So these are the free cards for command, and we got 2 rares from the set, being Captain Enoch, the captain of the guard, and Sifo Dyas, the commissioning an army. He's the one that commissioned the construction of the clones for the Clone Wars. So he's the Jedi from the Republic that commissioned the building the clones. And then we got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Protective Padawan, who is one of the cards from the star deck from the Qui-Gon deck. So one of the new stars we get. So you can always see, like from Obi-Wan's stats, that he is one of the he's like our Boba. Like we've had some really good statted units, like Boba and Cassian being 3-cost 3/5s, very good health, a good amount of power, and we're bringing that back in this set with like like Obi-Wan, very good stats, those costs, very nice ones, good traits as well, and he's got a nice effect when you play a Force unit, and it even says, which I think it doesn't include always on the hyperspace versions, but including itself, this unit gains Sentinel for this phase. You can play him out and he'll be a Sentinel, and if you play any Force units from turns after, he then gain Sentinel again. So it's pretty cool. Solid stats and a good effect with Sentinel, which is very nice. And also a cool, cheaper Force unit to have out. Then you've got Captain Enoch, and he makes use of like the many troopers we have on both sides of the game, on the Villainy side and Heroic side. And he is a 1/5, so pretty decent stats. A 3-cost 1/5 is almost as good, like same good amount of health for a 3-cost, but not good amount of power. But he does have an effect that kind of boosts his power, which is this: he gains an extra 1 power for every trooper unit in your discard pile. So you play a full trooper focused deck, which is a lot of troopers. I think there's a fair few troopers on any aspect, or I think mostly in green and red, I think. And then you get to go ahead and boost them up. So if you've got 5 trooper units in your discard pile, that's extra 5 power. So he comes down as a 3-cost 6/5, which is very good stat. So he's one you got to kind of watch out for, but it's a pretty cool unit. And he is a trooper himself, so you have every copies of himself in there that will count towards him. And then we have Sifo Dyas. Now he's a 5-cost 4/4, so not the best stats, but same stats as if we go back to set 1 again. On Ancient Callus. Ancient Callus is another one of those like high costing but not the best stats, a 5-cost 4/4. But he's another Force Jedi and Republic unit, which is cool. And he's got a when defeated effect. And it's all resolving around clones, because remember, he is the one who commissioned the clone army. So he's got when defeated, such as top 8 cards of your deck for any number of clone units with a combined cost of 4 or less. So it's the cost of the cards, not the power or any of the stats, just the cost of them. And discard them. So you can potentially find among those 4 1-drops, that'd be cool, and you discard them all, and then put all the rest of the cards in the bottom of your deck in a random order. And for this phase, you can play those units from your discard pile for free. So that's pretty cool. There are some really cool clone ones. This feels like more support for what's it called? More support for Nalase. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I do love that deck. Just it was kind of outclassed by From when he can do the same thing she can do, just without clones, but still with incorporating the exploit mechanic. I think it's a pretty nice one to come out, and then just basically spam your board with clones. There's some pretty nice clones you could have in it. Now, He is restricted by having a combined cost of 4 or less. You can't get out things like Wrecker. Imagine you can get out things like Wrecker for free. That would be absolutely nuts. That'd be crazy. But you get some ever pretty cool clones out as well. It's just there are a fair few clones. You just think there's not too many that you kind of want to play, but you can potentially put out a lot of units on board with him if you go for a clone focus, which is pretty nice. So those are the command units. So we only got 3 command units so far, but we hopefully see more. Cause remember, spoilers are going on, and we get them I think we get them almost every day. So looking forward to all those. So let's have a look at some of the aggression units that we've got as well. So for the aggression ones, we've got these ones here. So these are the 4 aggression cards we've had revealed so far. So we got another starter card, and that is Darth Maul's lightsaber. So we got one of the lightsabers you get in the set. I don't think we get a lightsaber for Qui-Gon in the yeah, I don't think we get a lightsaber for Qui-Gon in the Star Dex, but we get Darth Maul's lightsaber. So it's a pretty cool one. But let's go from left to right to go show the order. So we got the 3 Villainy aggression cards so far, and 1 non-heroic or villainy one, being a mirror. So the Scythe is a pretty cool unit. It's a rare from the set. 4 cost, 3/5. So stats are normally better on the 3 cost, but still not too bad on the 4 cost. It's still better than the 3/4s we sometimes get 4 costs. And he is an Imperial vehicle transporting Inquisitors. So it's a transport from Inquisitors. It gets the benefit of the Imperials as well, and some benefit from being a transport unit as well with some kind of upgrades, and also be searchable by I can't remember, like commission, I think it's called, the event that can allow you to look at the top 8 cards you deck to find a item, bounty. No, yeah, I think it may be item or bounty and a transport unit, like up to one of those, which is cool. And it's got a pretty nice one, whereas on attack you can give another friendly Inquisitor unit plus 2 power for this phase. So it's a nice little benefit for the Inquisitors, which are pretty good. Then we got Savage Press, and this is another one of those non-leader units that requires the Force units, but this is more in a kind of save yourself from being like damaged by it, which is a pretty interesting way to use it. Now it's a 6 cost 9/6, so it's a 6 cost 9 power 6, and it's overwhelm as well. And it has Force and Knight, so it's got the Force trait, which is beneficial. Knight, not so much so far, but that is pretty powerful. It has a lot of power, and in a unit, it's like a even stronger, like a dark side version of Wrecker. But as well as overwhelm, his other effect, unlike Wrecker, isn't to do damage to something, it's to prevent you from kind of taking a lot of damage yourself, because he is massively powerful, Savage Press, but he isn't really too stable. So his effect is when played or when defeated, you may use the Force, so use your Force token, and if you don't do that, you take 9 damage to your base. So you take a whopping, you basically take its power as damage to your base when he's played or when he's defeated, unless you use the Force token up. So of course, when you play him, you're going to hopefully have the Force. You can play him out as a 9/6 and then not take damage by using the Force. But then after that, if you've got one of those Force bases that kind of swings to gain the Force, you can attack with him, hopefully take out something, and then have the Force token. So if he ever is taken out, you can then use the Force rather than take 9 damage. So pretty cool. It's like, doesn't seem too bad to kind of keep him on board and not take that damage. And his stats are really cool. It'd just be interesting to see how easy it is to Force, because that's the one thing about this, is any of the cards that use the Force, it comes down to how easy it is to accumulate the Force and keep getting it over and over. So far we've only seen that there's that one blue card that can gain us the Force by just being used, and the other ways we've seen that get the Force is just by using those Force bases and attacking with a Force unit. So we need to see if there's enough Force units to like make that relevant or easy enough to do, and if there's any other ways to do it as well. And then we come to Darth Maul's lightsaber. So this is a pretty cool one, a 3 cost upgrade that gives, instead of normally when you get 3 cost upgrades, it's a 3 cost, 3 to the cost, and it gives a 3/3 to the stats, so 3 extra power, 3 extra health. Darth Maul's lightsaber changes it up with how the lightsabers are, where instead of just splitting it evenly, it now gives 4 power and 2 health. So not too much on health, but 4 power. And like the other ones, it can be attached to a non-vehicle. But then it's got a cool when played, where if it's attached to Darth Maul, which currently we only have, when it comes to Darth Maul, we've got Maul cards like the Maul 7 drop and the Maul Leader, but they don't count because they're Maul, not Darth Maul. But we do have the 5 cost from set 3 and the Darth Maul Leader you can put on, which are Darth Mauls. And then, so if you attach it to a Darth Maul unit, which is 2 of, the Leader and the Legendary unit, then you can attack with him. And for this attack, he gains Overwhelm and can attack bases. So you might be able to attack bases, but you can attack in the units and have Overwhelm and pierce damage through them to go onto opponent's bases. And giving a 4 extra power and stuff like that is pretty cool. especially if you put on that legendary from set 3. It can attack 2 things at once, so you can actually give a 4-2 boost to the unit, attack 2 things at once, and overwhelm to go through their health to your opponent's base as well, even though you can't attack the base. So that was really, really cool. But you see how easy it is to use, because you need those 2 units. So there's only 2 kind of units you can play, where mostly every lightsabers, unless they're like, well, this actually technically is the same, because they got the ones that aren't generic, which can go on anyone, but then ones that are more towards a certain character, like Maul's lightsaber, Luke's lightsaber and stuff. You need to go on that kind of named character trigger. So, and they've got limited number of those units. So that makes sense. But it's a pretty nice upgrade for Darth Maul, since he's a Star Deck leader, and you want to kind of have his lightsaber with him, because he's got one of the coolest lightsabers in the whole Star Wars franchise, in my opinion. And the last red card we've got is Merrin. Now, if you don't know where this character is, which, just like I don't know where most of these characters are unless I've watched it, this is one from the Star Wars games, being the, trying to think what the first one's called. I think it's Fallen Order and Survivor, I think it is. So, Star Wars Fallen Order and Survivor, which follow the Cal Kestis, and basically, yes, following his story going through and surviving. I've played Survivor, but I haven't played Fallen Order. I'm working on getting Fallen Order to play, because I have completed Survivor and I absolutely love that game. Like, my girlfriend got it for me as a game I might be interested in. I absolutely loved it, so I'm looking forward to getting the one before that and playing that as well. But I love that game, and I am kind of interested in the characters as well. I'm looking forward to them joining the game. So I'm looking forward to the Survivor and Fallen Order characters like Merrin, Cal Kestis and stuff like that coming to the game. So that's cool. And Merrin is, I'll say, Alone with the Dead. She's a free cost 2/5, so pretty good stats. A 2/5 we've seen other units like Yularen and stuff like that. And she's got on attack, where you can discard a card from your hand, and if you do, tilt it 2 damage to your unit. So this is one that is pretty cool. You're gonna lose cards in hand, but it's not too bad. It's really good for things like what's his name? Kylo Ren. The Kylo Ren for set 2. You want to have less cards in hand, so when you can deploy, he's a bit stronger. It's just a nice way to do it, and also incorporate the aggression focus of being able to then deal damage with it as well. Discard attack, discard a card from your hand, deal 2. And if you got from the turn before, you've got I can't remember his name now. The 2 drop guy who, when you discard a card, you deal 2 damage or something. You got that as well as a way to do a lot of damage. That's a good, nice addition to Kylo. So that's a pretty cool card for him, a win for him. But still, it's a good card. 3 costs with 5 health is pretty solid, and 2 damage, 2 power as well, is also really, really nice. And also a force unit as well, so you get the benefit of using the force effects, like force throw and things like that. So that's a really cool addition. So those are the aggression cards. Look really nice so far. Now I'll see the last of the main aspects, and that is cunning. So for some of the cunning cards, we've got these. So we've got 2 starter decks, 2 starter deck cards, being Anakin Skywalker and Qui-Gon Jinn's Aether Sprite. So 2 of the cards from the starter deck you get when you get the Qui-Gon Jinn Star, which I think I will definitely grab this time. I haven't grabbed the starter deck since the first set. I think I grabbed them for the first set, because I wanted the leaders Luke and Vader before able to get them, because I missed out on the I missed out actually going to some of the demos to actually get the event leaders, so I had to make do with the starter ones, and then eventually got the event leaders because I preferred it out of them. So I haven't, since set 1, really bought a starter deck, because most of the cards were able to be pulled in the OP kits, so you didn't really need to, because you got all the cards from them in there, and even the hyperspace. So it's more for newer players. But now for the next set, I think I'm gonna get the starter deck, at least the Qui-Gon one, because I want that leader. I want some of the cards from it to basically actually play it, rather than trying to get from OP kits where there's less of a chance to get them, and not always all of them in there. But we also got some other cards on the starter deck ones, like as I've foreseen, and Stinger Mantis as well. So as I've foreseen is another one of those force events. So we're probably going to have quite a few force events, and it's a 1 cost, and it's one of those ones that allows you to play out cards a little bit cheaper. So it allows you to look at the top card of your deck. So it's 1 cost. Look at the top card of your deck, and then you can use the force, lose your force token. And if you do, you play that card, and it costs 4 less. So that's a huge, that's a pretty huge cost decrease, because it technically you're playing it for 3 less, because you're paying 1 for the event, but you play it 4 less. So you take the 1 off that you paid for the event, so you're technically playing a card for 3 less than the resource you have. And it's pretty nice, but you do have to kind of know what's on top of your deck. So it's one of those things where in the Villainy side, you can't get the benefit of it with Yoda. You can do it with Thrawn, which from set 1, which allows you to look at both yours and your opponent's top card of the deck, so you kind of know things there. And as well as that, you've also technically, if you go with blue, you've got the Yoda upgrade, which if one on a card, you can look at the top card of your deck and then put it back on the top. That's in the turn, so it's not going to really help there. But it's more like Thrawn and Yoda, but then you may use a Thrawn. So hopefully there's some other ways to kind of set this up. Nice ways we can potentially set this up because it's pretty cool. You just have to know what's on the top card of your deck to be able to use it on them, but you get a big discount on it as well. You don't get to play it active. That's what a lot of, like, a majority of the cards that you do get, that you play out cards and play it cheaper. I think most of them play them out inactive. There are some that don't really do it like this one. But that's a pretty cool card. It just depends how easily you can know what's on the top of your deck. Next, we've got Anakin Skywalker. Now, this is an easy turn 1 force that you can play out, so you can then go ahead and start generating that force force token, by using the force or having the force with you. And he's a 1-cost 1/1, so not the best stats, but still something you play turn 1. He has got hidden as well, so he can't be attacked the same turn he's played, so you can kind of have him survive long enough to be able to attack with him, hopefully, and then go ahead and get a force token. And also, he comes in shielded, so he gets protected by damage once while he's got that shield. So when he would take damage, you lose the shield instead. So that's a really cool card. A force unit to help you get the force. A hidden as well, so you can't be attacked the same turn, so you can't get ambushed and things like that. And then shielded, so that way you can go ahead and actually stick around long enough with both the skills, stick around long enough so you can actually attack and gain the force. A really solid card, especially a good reason to get the starter deck. Then we have Qui-Gon's Aether Sprite, and this is a good one that kind of combos well with Qui-Gon's kind of skill, because it's all about bouncing cards back to your hand so you can then play out something cheaper and then maybe even reuse as when played abilities. And this is a 5-cost 3/6 space unit, which is pretty solid stats, because it's kind of same as we got some leaders like Obi-Wan and Revan. So you got same kinds of stats to its cost, 5-cost 3/6. Also, is a Jedi Republic vehicle and fighter as well, so some good traits there. And it's got an on attack where the next time you do use a when played ability, you can use that ability again. So that means you can attack with it with this, and then afterwards play things like Ahsoka, and you get that ability twice. You get 2 discards and potentially 2 rests. That's really, really cool. Like, I really like this ability, but you have to get this card out and use abilities. Like, in theory, it seems really, really cool, really, really great to use, but it's just how well can it be in focus? Because can it be taken out quite quickly before you can get the ability to attack and again use that one play ability? Because as long as you can attack with it, doesn't matter if it stays on the board, just the next time you do use a one played ability, you get to use it twice. So that's pretty, really cool. Just need to get it on board, but it does seem like it's not too bad to do so. And then we've got the Stinger Mantis, and this is another one that is pretty nice, and it's also got it's one of those. It's got kind of incorporates aggression as well. You know, it's about damage, but it's a 5-cost 4/6, so similar stats to the Aether Sprite, but 1 extra power. But it's in a fringe vehicle and transport. And then just 1 played, you can deal 2 damage to an exhausted unit, so it has to be exhausted. But still, if everyone attacks with it or it plays a unit, I can hit basically any unit that's played unless it comes inactive, and then be able to do damage to it, and then maybe finish it off or put it within range to take out, which is pretty nice. So those are the Cunning Cards we've got outside some of the Legendaries. We'll see those separately. And then we go on to some of the cards that are not one of the main 4 aspects, but like Villainy, Heroic, and Aspectless. So the cards that are like single aspect at the very least, and outside of the colored aspects, we've got Darth Tyrannus, which I think is a maybe one of the other starter deck cards, because it's got the S for because it's not I think it's not for exclusive or starter deck focused. It's like a special. I think the symbol stands for, not starter, it's special, which you get on some promos as well that aren't part of the starters. And I think it might be one of these cards from the starter deck, but also you can get as a promo version as well, which I do not have the image of. But yeah, we got Darth Tyrannus, Scimitar, which I think is it's like a Sith vehicle. Then we've got Refugee of the Path, another 1-drop unit you can play on turn 1. That has the Force to get those Force tokens. And we got Porg being the first 0-costing card, and a cool little creature as well. So a card you can play absolutely free. So Darth Tyrannus is a pretty nice one, a 4-cost 4/3. So similar stats we've seen on 4 costs. A Force Separatist and Sith as well. Comes in shielded as well, so he does come in protected by a shield. So you can have him around, hopefully stick around, so you can make some use of those Force events. And you also can gain ambush. So while the Force is with you, so he's never one of those non-leader units that can use the Force a different way by having the Forces by the Force being with you. you can get benefits, which is while the Force is with you, he gains ambush, which is pretty nice, especially when he comes in shielded. You can come in ambush and then survive because he won't take any damage. You use the shield instead, and hits for pretty solid damage at 4 as well. So it's pretty cool. And also, since well, yeah, it doesn't matter really ambush because unless you can use the Force when he is attacking, you gain it back. But then unless we see that it's like they can use the Force as well, like having ambush and then gain the Force after attacking. I'm not sure, but it's pretty nice to become a shielded ambush card as long as the Force is with you. Pretty solid card. Then we got ship Scimitar, which is a 4-cost 3/4 ship, a Sith vehicle transport as well. So I think it might be, I don't know if it's Dooku ship or Maul ship or something, but it's a pretty cool one. And why a unit is damaged, it gains 3 plus power. So any unit, so why itself is damaged. So while itself is damaged, it gains 3 power. So if it takes 1 damage at the very minimum damage you can take, it then becomes a 6/3 because it's technically got 3 to itself, or 3 remaining health. So that's a pretty powerful hit, but then it's a high cost of 4, but it's pretty nice in that if you leave it alone, it's a 3/4, but if you damage it just even a little bit, it doubles its power, which is really, really cool. Then you got Refugee of the Path, being a 1-cost 0/3 unit, so a bit more health than Anakin, but not as protected as Anakin is with like Hidden and Shield. But when played, you can give a shield token to a unit with Sentinel, so if you already have a Sentinel out on board, play this out, they give a shield to it. And also it's a Force unit, so you think you can play out a Refugee of the Path, trigger Obi-Wan to gain a Sentinel, and then trigger this to play Sentinel, because I think you can trigger both at the same time, because Obi-Wan's when a unit is deployed, whereas what's it called, when he gives one to Sentinel. So I think they both can trigger at the same time. Yeah, because I think Obi-Wan I think is a when you play a Force unit, so they're both when played effects, or like units that trigger at the same time, well when a unit is played. So you can kind of trigger Obi-Wan to give himself Sentinel, and then use this to give Obi-Wan shield then because he now has Sentinel. And then we got Porg, and that's a first 0 costing card at 1/1, so easy 1/1 unit you can get out for free. And this can be pretty cool with things like the Forces with not the Forces, now there are 2 of them. So you've got no other units on the board, you can then play this for free, and you use now there are 2 of them to then play things like a Crate Dragon and stuff like that, which is cool, or even the Zillo Beast, which I think might be even reprinted in this, because I think there was a hint on the article they had where you can kind of get they might be reprinting those in the set. But still a nice cool free unit can even make exploiting a little bit easier as well by being able to play out units for free to then reduce the cost of a card by 2, which is really nice. So those are the rest of the cards we've got. And we also got 2 legendaries, so let's have a look at the legendaries we've got. And here they are. So the 2 legendaries we've seen so far are Qui-Gon Jinn. The negotiations will be short. I think that's one of the lines he has in the actual film. And we got Grogu, the Mysterious Child, which is pretty cool. Now, so these are pretty nice. They're both legendary, so they're the highest rarity in the set. And Qui-Gon is one of those 7-cost ambushes, which we see very often in all different aspects. He's a 7-cost 7/5, so a load of power at 7 cost, which is really cool. And not so much a good amount of like health in 5, but still it's a Force unit, so you can ambush and also give you the Force wall. So the fact he's got ambush means he can attack the same turn, and then attacking also then give you the Force if you need that Force token for something. And also he has a when defeated effect, which is when he's defeated, you can choose any non-leader ground unit, and its owner then has to put it either on the top or bottom of the deck. So you choose a unit, so you choose any non-leader ground unit, and then your opponent's got to make a decision where, well, as long as your opponents, because you may be using on your opponents, they have to either put on top or bottom of the deck, but they get to choose. So it means you're removing potentially 2 cards from board because your ambush should take something else out, and if he is defeated from that, you're then getting rid of something else as well, which is really cool. So you can control that ground unit really well, and also being a Force unit that can ambush means he's going to get you that Force token, which is sick. I do love it. Qui-Gon is one of my favorite. Well, like I said, my favorite heroic character in all Star Wars. So I'm going to be hyped to get this. And given that this has got a Carbonite set, so we're going to get some Prestige cards from it, I'm looking forward to getting the Prestige version of Qui-Gon as well. And then we've got Grogu. Grogu being a pretty nice one that we haven't seen yet. And we have seen a little bit through Grogu of the Prestige cards, but I couldn't find the art. But I have seen it somewhere, I just couldn't remember where. And Grogu is a solid unit at a 3 cost, just like how Watto is. He's a 3 cost 1/6, so pretty solid stats for his cost. Also a Force unit, so those Force shenanigans you got in there. Also has hidden, so you can't even be attacked same turn you're playing it. So you can play him out and not worry about being attacked into. And then also he's got a cool action, and that is by tapping him. So you can't use it the same turn he's played, but turns after you can heal up to 2 damage from a unit, and then if you do, you have to then deal damage, that much damage to a unit. So you can, really cool thing is you can heal 2 damage off your units and then throw it on your opponent's units instead. So heal 2 damage off yours and deal 2 damage, that much damage to your opponent's units, which is really cool. Now, that is a really nice ability. So that's a really good and legendary worthy as well. And I'm so hyped to be able to basically play, like, hopefully get some more cool Force units to either play in Chirrut. I play Chirrut again with some cool things like Grogu, and then even enjoy some more other Force leaders as well. I'm gonna be hyped for this set. But that's not it as well, because we do have more stuff. Because even though that's all the cards from this for the new set, we did have some exclusive cards. So let's have a look at some of the event, like this kind of event exclusive kind of thing we've got. So like how we got the I think back in last year we had some like conventions which could give out a special kind of exclusive set of cards, like reprints or even some future cards that we didn't see yet. Like we had some cards from set 3 in it before it came out, of like we're showing it different kind of looks to the cards. And for this year, we've got a convention exclusive, which unfortunately isn't available in anywhere in any convention in the UK, but is in Europe only. So you can go out into Europe to kind of try and get it, but you can't get it in the UK. And it's showing like a droid focus one of it. So you can get these six cards in it. So you get these 6 ones in it with this cool new look, and they're all droids. So you got the cool droid look. You got L337. You got BB-8. You got R2D2. You got BD. You got C3PO, and you got Chopper as well. So you've got all these different droids you get from the series that we've even seen as well, and you can get them in this light. So it looks really, really cool, like really nice. And you notice as well the top 3 are ones we've already previously got from previous sets. So we got L3, BB, and R2 are ones from previous sets. You've got they're all pilots. So you got L3, the blue pilot, BB-8, the red pilot, and then R2, one of the like heroic pilots from the last set. But the bottom 3 are brand new ones from the new set. So you got to kind of look, and you kind of can't really tell unless you remember what the symbols are of what they're in. But you know what these symbols are from these ones. Like L3 is in Vigilance, BB in Aggression, and then R2 is just in Heroism. But for these ones, BD is in Cunning, C3PO is in Command, and then Chopper is in Aggression. So Chopper is an Aggression unit, so that's cool. We're getting a new Spectre in Aggression, and we'll have a closer look at them. Because these are the 3 cards. So these are 3 brand new cards. We're going to get a look at something new for this. And BD has the, I think I can't see the traits, he's got Fringe and Droid. So he's got a Fringe because remember he's from the games, just like how Merrin's got, no, Merrin hasn't got Fringe, but like he's from a different kind of series, like off the games and stuff like that. So he's got Fringe on it, get a benefit. I still don't understand the Fringe, but he has got it. He's a 1 cost in Cunning and Heroism. He's a 1/3 to a stats. He has hidden, so he can't be attacked the same turn he's played. And when played, you get to choose another friendly unit. And while this unit is in play, so while BD is in play, the chosen unit gets extra 1 power and gains Saboteur. So it can ignore shields and Sentinel and gains an extra 1 power to recall. And he's only a 1-drop, so he's very cheap to play. So if you can play a Sentinel out, you can potentially have him buff that Sentinel and make him more powerful and have some cool things like that. So really nice, cool droid, and I kind of do like that. It makes a very good, nice new addition to Ray Cunning as well, which is going to be cool. Then we have C3PO being also a 1 cost 1/3, and he is a Republican droid, so he's not from the Rebels, so this is back from using the Republic when back during the like Clone Wars and stuff like that. Imagine, or the prequel era, because he's got the Republican droid, and he's got an action where you can return this unit to his owner's hand and give a unit 2/2 for this phase. And being a 1 cost means he's very cheap to play out. He's almost like a version of Crom, where he's very cheap to play out, like pretty neat sort of stats for a 1-drop, and then he's got ability where you can basically bounce about the hand to reuse him over and over again to do something cool, like Crom's deal damage to your unit, and plus when he's played he gets healings, cool things like that. But this one allows you to give a unit 2/2 for that phase. You get to bounce it back, give it 2/2, and then play it out again. Keep doing that. It's pretty cool. So that's a pretty nice little effect you can get, and a nice new benefit to Rex deck as well. I'm looking forward to adding that to Rex if the whole Survivors becomes still relevant in that set. And then we got Chopper. So this is a nice one. He's a 2 cost 4/1, so 4 power but only 1 health, which is interesting. and he's in the aggression and heroism. And so he's also got the Rebel, Spectre, and Droid. So he's still got Spectre, so more Spectre units for Hera and things like that. And he's also a Rebel and a Droid. And he's got a when this unit deals combat damage to a base, which might be a bit hard to do because he's only got 1 health, so unless he can survive long enough, each player discards a card from their hand. So that even includes you, because remember, if it says, unless it says opponent or friendly, it's not referring to a certain person. Like opponents are referring to your opponents, no matter how many opponents you got, and friendly is also referring to yourself. But so just each player discards a card from their hand. So if you deal damage to it, both you and your opponent have to discard a card from their hand. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any cards that benefit from being discarded, or if it's a way that have more hand control in decks, especially since he's doing 4 damage to a base. It's quite a lot of power as well. So that is it for today. So that is it for the reveal. So hopefully you've kind of seen some really cool things and looking forward to them. I know I'm hyped for it. If there's anything you're hyped for next set, or any characters you're expecting, or any like kind of suggestions, or like kind of hopes, or even views you have, and like what you think, or suggestions of what you think it might be in the next set, feel free to comment down below. And I'm loving this set. I'm really hyped for it. I'm probably going to cover more of this than I have the previous sets, because it's just one of my favorite things. It's covering the Force, covering the Jedi, things like that. And I'm really, really hyped for that kind of stuff. So that is it for me today. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.